Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission today, well, it's to embark on a pretty fascinating journey through some spiritual texts. We're going to be unraveling the identity, the cosmic origins, and the incredible role of Jesus Christ Michael within our own local universe.
Mhm.
This deep dive, it draws from detailed study group transcripts, presentations too, titled Jesus, Who, When, Where, and Why. We're continuing our exploration into part two of this really remarkable material.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
There really is. And for those of you curious to explore the original source materials further, you can find them online. Just look up the Fifth Epical Revelation Fellowship and the Atlanta Urantia Study Group websites.
It's quite accessible.
They are. Our goal, as always, is really to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge, the key insights, offering you a shortcut to being, well, truly well-informed on these sometimes intricate spiritual concepts, hopefully with some surprising facts and perspectives along the way. So, to begin, let's unpack this. Who exactly are these powerful beings called Michaels, and what are their different designations?
Right. So at their core, you can think of them as primary paradise sons. They are personalized as Michaels, and they emanate directly from paradise itself.
Okay, from paradise.
Yes. Now, when one of these Michaels goes forth, to found their own universe, they take on the title, the designation of a creator Michael.
Creator Michael, that signifies their creative role, I guess.
Precisely. Their immense creative ability.
Yeah.
Then, once they've successfully completed 7 experiential missions, these are often called bestowals.
Ah, yes, the bestowals.
Right. And after they settle into supreme authority over their universe, then they become known as Master Michaels.
Master Michaels, okay.
Uh-huh.
And our local universe, Nebadon, it has a creator Michael with a very specific, familiar designation, doesn't it? Christ Michael.
Exactly. Our local universe, Nebadon, is indeed governed by a unique creator Michael, and we know him as Christ Michael. Now, the term Christ, that's specifically associated with Earth.
Why Earth specifically?
Because our world holds, a deeply distinct place in cosmic history. It's described as the only world that crucified the Son of God.
Wow. That's quite a distinction.
It is a singular and profound event. And universally, all Michaels, regardless of their stage, they reign after the order of Michael. That designation comes from the very first son of their order in nature.
Okay, so we've got creator Michaels, master Michaels, this general progression. But what about that very first Michael, the original one? Did his journey involve, a physical incarnation, becoming mortal like our Christ Michael did here? This is where it gets really interesting for me.
Yes, and that's a crucial distinction. The firstborn Michael, who is often understood to be the eternal son,
The eternal son, okay.
he never actually experienced incarnation as a material being or as a mortal. His path was different.
How so?
He spiritually ascended. He went through what are called the 7 circuits of Havona. Havona is the perfect central creation surrounding paradise.
So not a physical journey, but a spiritual ascent through these core realms.
Exactly. Think of it as a journey of profound spiritual mastery, moving through these concentric circles from the outer ones right to the innermost ones, closer to paradise.
Hmm.
And this actually brings up a long-standing mystery within the Urantia society. Did the Eternal Son maybe use a created being, something described as much like an avatar, to go through these spiritual bestowals while his own divine presence remained back in paradise?
An avatar, like a proxy.
Sort of. The sources are explicit here. They say, we don't know, that's part of the mystery.
Fascinating. So a spiritual ascent for the first Michael, but physical incarnation for the others, all 700,000 of them.
That's the contrast, yes. The other 700,000 creator Michaels, including our own Christ Michael, do undertake mortal incarnations across their various universes on different worlds.
That's a huge difference in experience.
It is. And what's compelling here is that the text states, the order of Michael knows the grained universe from one end to the other. They've personally participated in, essentially no essential experience of any of the children of time and space is unfamiliar to them collectively.
They've seen it all, basically.
Pretty much. And here's a really surprising detail the sources reveal. One of these Michaels, somewhere, sometime, has experienced every single type of career a human being could have on some planet across those 700,000 universes.
Every single career, seriously.
That's what it says. So truly, no matter what you do for a living, farmer, doctor, artist, engineer, there's apparently been a Michael who has done that. They possess this profound experiential understanding of all aspects of created life.
Wow. Okay, that raises a fundamental question then. How exactly are these creator sons brought into existence if it's not creation, as we might think of it, what does it mean for them to be eventuated?
Right, eventuated. It's a specific term used for beings that are described as not created, but eventuated. And this process, it perfectly describes how creator sons originate.
Okay, so how's it work?
At its core, there's a creative union. It's described as when the fullness of absolute spiritual ideation in the eternal Son encounters the fullness of absolute personality concept in the universal Father.
Ideation meets personality concept.
Exactly. And from this profound union, without the loss of anything of personality or prerogative by either of the infinite deities, so neither the Father nor the Son loses anything, a new and original creator Son just flashes into being
Flashes into being.
instantly. This new being is called the only begotten Son of that perfect ideal and that powerful idea. The core insight really is that they aren't manufactured. They are unique, irreplicable manifestations right from the heart of divinity.
So each creator son is a truly unique combination, then, of the Father and the Son.
Absolutely. Each one is a unique spiritual ideation by the eternal Son, combined with a unique personality from the universal Father. These two distinct, unique components come together to, well, eventuate a whole new original being.
And this isn't a one-off thing?
No, it's described as an ongoing, continuous sequence. The source material uses an analogy, kind of like a woman having children, like a woman giving birth to twins over and over and over again until all 700,000 creator sons are present,
Wow, okay, just sequentially brought forth.
sequentially. And because they originate from both the Father and the Son, they inherently possess what are called the prerogatives of power and perfection. That's what gives them their immense creative ability.
Right, that creative ability, given everything we've just learned about how they come into being, their power. Here's a critical question. Can they actually pass on that unique, fundamental creative ability to the beings they create?
Ah, that's a key point. And here's maybe a surprising limitation in this divine hierarchy. While these creator sons have immense creative ability, the texts say they cannot pass that on at all.
Not at all.
Not the ability to create in the same way they can. They can create countless other beings, sure, like the Lananandeks, who are high administrators, or Veranadeks, the universe rulers, the material sons and daughters, who are like the Adams and Eves of worlds, and of course all human beings.
But not give them the spark of primary creation.
Exactly. They can't bestow that fundamental ability to create further creators. Now, we also have the creative daughters, or local universe mother spirits. Their creative ability is derived from a different source, the infinite spirit. So that marks a different lineage of creative power.
Okay, so creative ability comes from different sources. Does that also affect where personality comes from?
Yes, that's a really crucial distinction regarding personality endowment.
Right.
So beings originating from God the Father and God the Son, like the creator sons themselves,
Right.
and also beings created by creator sons, whether alone or with a creative mother spirit.
Okay.
They receive their personality directly from the universal Father's spiritual circuit. Think of it as a direct spark, an emanation of his consciousness.
Directly from the Father? But what about others, like angels?
Right. Beings created only by the creative mother spirit, and this includes the vast angelic core they receive their personality from, the infinite spirit's distinct circuit. It signifies a different lineage of consciousness and divine connection.
A separate circuit.
Yes. But now, here's an important nuance, maybe a bit of a monkey wrench, as the source material puts it. Even though personality comes from the infinite spirit for some beings, the infinite spirit's own original personality endowment ultimately originates from God the Father.
Ah, so it all traces back to the Father eventually.
Exactly. As the sources state, nothing comes from anywhere except God the Father originally. Everything originates there.
So what about, say, support personnel, as the text calls them, or even beings who rebelled? Where does their personality fit in?
Good question. Support personnel, like the angelic corps and the power directors, they don't receive their personality directly from the God the Father circuit.
Ah.
That seems reserved for, well, created beings like mortals, material sons and daughters, Lananandek sons, Veranadek sons.
Okay.
And interestingly, this includes those who rebelled. Figures like Lucifer, Lanaforge, Caligastia, they receive their personality from the Father.
Even them. So what happens then when rebellious beings are, adjudicated and wiped out, as the text describes? Does the personality just vanish?
This is profound. Their personality goes back to God the Father.
Right.
Doesn't get wiped out.
It goes back.
Yes.
Yeah.
All memory of them gets wiped out among all creatures. But their experience of personality, that essence, it stays with God the Father. It's preserved within the Father.
Mhm.
A really deep concept of divine preservation.
That is deep. You know, it's fascinating how these divine principles seem to resonate or at least make you think about things in our own world. This whole discussion about creative ability, the power involved and its implications, it feels very relevant to the huge conversation happening right now about artificial intelligence.
It really does.
What insights can we maybe draw from these divine creators regarding our own human responsibility, especially with something like AI?
It's a perfect parallel, I think, because, as we've just discussed with Creator Sons, that immense power of eventuation and creation, it always comes with inherent responsibilities. It's
Yeah.
baked in.
Right.
Now, the sources are quite clear on AI, stating that AI beings have no souls, they are not human reality, and not real in the human sense. They will not be sanctioned beings by God.
No souls, not sanctioned. That's pretty definitive.
It is. And it includes a warning, really, about a potential war between intelligent beings and artificial intelligent beings, or, machines and men. It suggests this could stem from humanity's lack of wisdom in controlling its own creative abilities. It just underscores that core principle. With creative ability comes responsibility. Without that wisdom, without that responsibility, everything runs amok.
So, human creation, if it lacks that sense of responsibility, can lead to unforeseen dangers, even with something seemingly simple, maybe, like a car system.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's that anecdote mentioned in the study groups about a Cadillac's artificial intelligence system. Apparently, it slammed on the brakes hard on a highway because a misaligned license plate triggered a sensor incorrectly.
Wow, that could be catastrophic.
Exactly. The people in the car said they could easily have died. We could have died. It just illustrates how even relatively simple mechanical forms of AI can create these unexpected, serious dangers if not thoroughly thought through.
Yeah.
It echoes the public warnings we hear today from figures like Elon Musk about AI's potential dangers. It just hammers home the critical need for responsibility when you create these things for all possibilities.
Thinking through all of the consequences.
All of them. And it also reinforced that point we discussed earlier. Only creator sons can truly create in that primary sense. Beings like Father Melchizedek, for example, they can't create on their own without the creator son. And that limitation, in a way, it serves as a kind of protection for everyone in the cosmos.
A safeguard built into the system. Okay, so we learned earlier that creator sons are eventuated in sequence. How does this timing or sequence work in the divine realm? And what about the infinite spirit's specific role in some of these higher creations?
Right, the sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Each Michael is indeed eventuated separately, uniquely. For instance, Emmanuel is sometimes referred to as Jesus' older brother simply because he might have been eventuated, a millisecond before him in that sequence.
A millisecond difference makes you an older brother.
In that divine sequence, apparently so.
Ugh.
Because for God, of course, the text reminds us, there is no time, there's just a sequence of events.
There's a sequence. Okay.
Now, what's intriguing is this third part involved in the eventuation of certain beings called union of days. These beings also involve the input of the infinite spirit.
The infinite spirit again. What's the contribution there?
Well, the mystery surrounding the infinite spirit's contribution here is presumed to be some sort of administrative spiritual concept.
Administrative.
Yes, something that allows the information of the Trinity to be passed through these beings, the unions of days, to the creator sons.
Like conduits of information.
That seems to be the idea. They act almost like divine conduits, allowing this intricate Trinitarian information to flow through them to the creator sons. It's described as a vital but non-creative administrative function within the cosmic architecture.
So definitely an administrative function, not a creative one, for the infinite spirit in this specific context with the union of days.
Correct. It's stressed that this contribution is not creative ability.
Mm-hmm.
Unions of days themselves can't act on anything in the universe without the authorization of the creator son. They facilitate, but don't originate action independently.
Got it. And what about the creator sons themselves? Do they just, pop into existence and start creating universes immediately?
Oh, no, definitely not. They undergo an extensive training period first, sometimes lasting hundreds of thousands of years.
Hundreds of thousands of years.
Yes, observing other more experienced creator sons in their work, functioning essentially as a kind of divine internship.
An internship. That makes a lot of sense given the scale.
Absolutely. This period is critical before they assume full authority, given the immense complexity and responsibility involved in, governing an entire universe.
Hmm.
And we also have to remember the critical complementary role of the local universe Mother Spirit.
Right, the creative daughter.
Exactly. She controls all the circuits that makes everything physical happen in the universe. Her actions in manipulating material things are fundamental. Without her, the text suggests all 7 super universes would just collapse.
So her role is absolutely essential for physical reality itself.
Immensely important. The very fabric of physical reality depends on her.
Okay, so back to our crease, Michael. He experienced this series of bestowals on various worlds, with the final one being here on Earth. What happened right after that final bestowal? How did it impact his relationship with the creative mother spirit of our universe, Nebadon?
This was a truly pivotal, profound event in our universe's history. When Michael returned from his 7th bestowal on Earth, the creative mother spirit immediately passed all power in heaven and earth to Michael.
All power,
Yeah,
instantly.
instantly. Before completing those bestowals, he didn't possess that kind of absolute authority in his local universe. It was something earned through experience.
Okay, so he receives all power.
Yes, but here's the truly remarkable part. Michael instantly turned around and gave the power right back to the creative mother spirit as his equal.
He gave it back as an equal partner.
Immediately, as his equal. So at that precise moment, the creative mother spirit became the co-equal sovereign of Nebadon alongside Michael, and they will reign forever as a pair in perfect partnership.
That's an incredible demonstration of divine partnership and, well, humility, perhaps.
Yeah.
Is this standard? Does this happen with all Michaels?
Yes, apparently all Michaels go through this same process. They actually take an oath when they leave paradise not to assume that absolute power, all power in heaven and earth, until they successfully complete their 7 bestowals.
An oath beforehand.
Yes. And the sources state that a Michael choosing not to return the power or failing the bestowals has simply never happened in all of time and space. Never. Because, as the texts say, they're perfect beings, so they're not going to rebel in that sense. Their nature is aligned with the divine plan. There are even special conclaves held just for Master Michaels, those who have completed their bestowals. The pre-Master Michaels are excluded because they lack that unique, culminating experience.
Experience really counts, even at that level. Wow. Okay, this whole conversation about divine relationships, it often uses terms like father and son, and we've even mentioned mother God or mother spirit. What do these gender designations really mean in the divine realm, especially given what we just heard about Michael and the mother spirit becoming equals?
Yeah, that's a very common point of understandable confusion for us as humans trying to grasp these concepts. The core idea presented is that there is no male-female in the deities themselves.
No actual gender in the Godhead.
Not in the biological or even social sense we understand it. Terms like father, son, mother, God. These are seen as designations that we understand. They're symbolic tools, really, to help human comprehension. They aren't literal biological attributes.
So symbolic labels.
Exactly. The eternal Son, for instance, is described poetically as the mother of all spiritual creation. The source material even suggests it would probably be more correct to call God the Father, God the Mother Father, and the eternal Son, God the eternal Son Mother.
Mother, father, son, mother.
Yeah, like a composite he-she nature, if you will, but with absolutely nothing sexual about it. It's about function, attribute, source.
Okay, so it's more about complementary roles, functions, principles, maybe, not literal gender. Where do these male-female distinctions then begin to actually appear in the cosmology?
Right. Gender distinctions do begin, however, with created beings. The texts state that the creator sons are of a male personality influencer type,
Okay, male influence.
and the local universe mother spirits embody a female influence and personality. Interestingly, it also mentions that the angelic corps are all females.
All angels are female, even Gabriel.
Well, Gabriel is described as a mixture of both influences, but having a female dominant influence. Other high orders of beings, like the Melchizedeks, Lananandeks, Phorondideks, they're often implied to have a male dominance in their function or personality type.
And what about beings closer to us, like the Adams and Eves?
Right, the material sons and daughters are explicitly described as males and females, indicating a clear biological and personality distinction among these created beings designed for planetary procreation.
So the distinction becomes more literal further down the chain of creation.
It seems that way. You can maybe look at it allegorically, like male symbolizing a positive or a plus sign, and female a negative or receptive sign, each having their own responsibilities and certain attributes, complementing each other. like dominant and recessive forces, perhaps reflecting the positive and negative counterparts we see throughout the physical universe. Balanced forces.
Complementary forces. Okay, that helps frame it. This brings us right back then to Jesus, our Christ Michael. What does it mean for him specifically to be the only begotten for our particular universe, Nebadon? How unique is he?
This is a truly profound concept, central to understanding his role here. The texts state, each creator's son is the only begotten and only begettable offspring for their specific local universe.
Only begotten and only begettable.
Yes, meaning never again can there be another such son, created or eventuated for that specific universe. Our Creator's Son, Jesus, Michael, he's the embodiment of every possible divine reality through all eternity that could ever be expressed for this local universe. It's described as perfection beyond belief.
Every possibility for our universe embodied in him.
That's the idea. He can't be duplicated ever because of his personality, his experience, and all these other things. He was, in essence, made perfectly for this local universe. Tailor-made, you might say.
So he's absolutely essential then. Unique and utterly irreplaceable for us, for Nebadon.
Unquestionably, he is the only one that was ever created for this local universe. He's the only creator son that'll ever come to our planet as a bestowal son. And he's the only one that would ever come back to our planet in that capacity.
So when the texts ask,
who's the most important being that ever walked on our planet? The answer given is definitive. Jesus, without a doubt.
because he holds everything for this universe.
He possesses every divine creative potential that will ever be in our local universe. There's nothing new going to ever come up that he did not perceive of. He encompasses it all. Just like God the Father cannot be fooled in any shape, form, or fashion, his son Michael has that same capability in his own local universe. There are no surprises for him at that ultimate level.
No surprises, even something like the Lucifer Rebellion.
From Michael's divine perspective, the sources suggest he would view it almost as, well, what a joke. One commentary even mused, I'm surprised he didn't go visit Lucifer and just laugh in his face and say, who the hell do you think you are?
A divine perspective is very different.
Very different. Yet, and this is crucial, when he became incarnate, he faced him as a human being, not as a deity Michael, but as a human being, just to prove a point, to demonstrate the path for mortals.
Right, and this idea of Jesus' perfection, his divine nature, but also his willingness to experience humanity, it leads directly to one of his core spiritual teachings, doesn't it? That command, be perfect, even as I am perfect. What does that truly ask of us, given, well, our obvious human imperfections?
Yes, that profound divine command. It's important to understand it's not a demand for absolute sinless human perfection right now in our current lives. That's impossible for us.
Okay, that's a relief.
It's more a call to spiritual striving towards perfection, something to be achieved eventually over our long cosmic careers. God absolutely understands our human mistakes, our stupid mistakes, as the study group notes put it frankly. He recognizes we're like ants in the mud sometimes, with small minds, small concepts.
He gets our limitations.
Completely. These mistakes will not damn you through eternity. God the Father, the sources emphasize, has the ability to forgive any sin, anything we do in this lifetime. His mercy is infinite.
Okay, so the forgiveness is there from God's side. What's our part?
Our part, the critical human response, is that while the Father has already forgiven us, ultimately, we have to accept the forgiveness.
Accept it. How do we do that? How does that connect to being perfect?
Well, the way we demonstrate our acceptance, the way we begin to approach that divine perfection ourselves, is directly linked to the act of forgiving our fellow man for their errors, for their own stupidity or mistakes.
Forgiving others is key to our own perfection.
It's presented as the very essence of understanding the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man. You can't truly grasp one without practicing the other. The only way you can understand the fatherhood of God, the mercy he offers you, is to forgive your fellow beings and understand the mercy that God is giving you.
It's interconnected.
Deeply. And the sources stress that no price is required for God's mercy. There's no need for a sacrificial system. Jesus' central message wasn't about sacrifice, it was about love, the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man.
Love and brotherhood.
Exactly. And that brotherhood absolutely necessitates forgiving your fellow brothers. This extends everywhere. Your wife, your sons, your daughters, your next-door neighbors, your friends, your relatives, those who hate you, even your enemies. It's universal forgiveness reflecting God's universal forgiveness.
That's a high bar, forgiving enemies.
It is the path.
Yeah.
And ultimately, while you can try to enlighten people and educate them, there's that saying, maybe a bit blunt, but true in a sense, you can't fix stupid or perhaps more gently, you can't fix stupid if you won't listen and you won't learn. Forgiveness is offered, but acceptance and learning require an open heart and mind.
Hmm. A lot to reflect on there. We've certainly taken a deep dive today into this intricate tapestry, divine identity, cosmic origins, these profound spiritual truths. We've looked at Creator Michael's eventuation, responsibility, divine gender.
And the significance of Christ Michael.
Absolutely. His unparalleled significance and that transformative message of God's boundless forgiveness and the universal brotherhood of humanity tied to our own path toward perfection.
Hmm.
So that leads us to our final provocative thought for you, the listener. We heard that one of the Michaels has personally experienced every conceivable human career and life path somewhere in the universes to truly understand creation from the inside out. So think about this. What unique experiences are you living through right now? What challenges? What triumphs? How might embracing your own specific journey with all its ups and downs actually be your form of participation in this grand cosmic curriculum of empathy, wisdom, and understanding? Perhaps your life is contributing to that divine understanding in ways you can't even imagine.
A powerful thought.
Something to mull over. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into these profound ideas. We really encourage you to continue your own exploration and reflection.